Hello and welcome back to In Your Defense. I'm attorney Steve Toland. I'm excited as today we continue our discussion about alcohol and boating. I want to share with you 5 important things to remember when it comes to alcohol and boating, or anytime you mix those two together. It comes with a lot of responsibility, so it's important to know these things. First and foremost, you need to know that law enforcement can investigate you for BWI if you're on a boat, which is defined in Texas as a vessel. It's any device that carries one or more people over the water that's propelled by something other than the ocean currents. So if it's a flat raft and the currents push it, that doesn't count, but everything else counts, so you need to know that. Second thing it's important to remember is that there are broad discretionary powers by law enforcement to pull you over. It's different than driving a motor vehicle. In this case, there is a broad warrantless exception called the safety check or safety exception. And generally that means that law enforcement can come on your boat and ask you about fire extinguishers and life jackets and things like that. So if you're on a boat and you have alcohol, you need to kind of expect that at any point in time while you're out on the water, law enforcement could probably stop you and talk to you about it. Nonetheless, you should consult an attorney if you have questions about that, but that's the general rule, so you should keep that in mind. The third thing to remember is that the legal definition of intoxication on a boat, it's the same as driving. It's 0.08 blood alcohol content, or the loss of the normal use of your mental or physical faculties due to the introduction of alcohol or drugs in your system. So that's the same. But what you need to know, it's a little bit different, is BWIs in our experience, and we've had a lot of successful wins in this area. They result in a lot of false arrests in our opinion, and that's because the signs of impairment for intoxication are really substantially similar to a lot of the signs people exhibit when they've been out on a boat all day. Makes sense if you think about it. Bloodshot, glassy eyes due to the wind, a raspy, horsey voice from being out on the water, wobbly sea legs. I mean, all these things are hard to distinguish between somebody who's had too much to drink and somebody who's been on a boat all day. So always consult an attorney if you have questions about that. And then the last thing you should know is that you are allowed to drink alcohol on your boat. That's also different from a motor vehicle. So if you're driving the boat and you're the captain, you can have an open container, and that's not against the law. You just can't be intoxicated. And likewise, other people on your boat, your passengers, they can also drink alcohol. Again, that they're allowed to do that, unlike a motor vehicle. So those are 5 important things to remember about BWIs. On our last series, we're going to talk about the penalty ranges and defenses available to you for these types of arrests or charges. And as always, I'll remind you, if you have any questions in this area, you or a loved one have been facing a charge of BWI, or alcohol and boating, reach out to me, attorney Steve Toland. I'm glad to help you through this area. Thank you.